This week's guest on the Straight Talker podcast, I have Paddy Douglas.
What's the point, John? Are we good?
Oh, good man.
Nice firm handshake here.
Nice firm. I'll give him a hug, but he's already sitting in the
Already hooked it out.
Hugged it out.
Many a time.
We need to come together.
Yes.
We are the vaccine.
We are the vaccine. This fucking beach is the vaccine.
And Paddy is a Wim Hof instructor.
Currently trained. Yeah. I mean, I've done the first phase, I'm going to do the second phase. That'll be in hopefully May. It's been cancelled twice now, and it was meant to originally do it in November, but now that went to the end of February. That got moved already. We already got the notification that it got moved until May. That even we can go ahead. Literally, all depends on what's going on with this fucking bullshit. So, currently, from the end of 2021 before we qualified.
And you know what? With the present situation, sometimes I find myself getting bogged down with. But I'm after reading Viktor Frankl's book. Do you ever Man's Search for Meaning? No. Right. It uses a technique called logotherapy. And it's about what you do, what I do, what most of the people do, and most of the people I mix with do automatically. To try to look for the good and not recognise the bad. To look at the positives and run with the positives rather than being staying in the house and downfall.
Yeah, there's a lovely saying that I actually picked up, and very similar to that is focus on the area of influence rather than the area of concern. And once you do that, Jesus, we're already halfway down. But where are we actually? Is this the new office?
This is the new office. Are we going to the office? What is that in the training day? We in the office, baby. He's driving the car in training day, Denzel Washington.
Oh, training day? Wasn't this train spotting there? Training day, the train spotting.
Anyway, so getting back, I'd like to go back to the start. Guests. Where did you grow up?
Ballymun Culture, yeah. Man, Dad moved in there, I think it was 1980 something. And from there, Daisy was born in 86, so from there, just a Ballymun kid. I only moved there with Ballymun there 2 years ago, so I'm in Cool up here.
And sports, you've done a bit of Muay Thai.
Yeah.
Did you play any sports growing up, or was it just Muay Thai?
No, we didn't. I was always a dab hander, you know what I mean? I don't do any sports, I mean, I always get stuck in whatever, but never commit at all. The first thing I ever committed to was when I was at 24 years of age, and that was when I found toy boxing. That's the first thing I committed, and I committed to that for 8 years, literally. Literally blood, sweat and tears into it, yeah, 100%. But other than that, sports have just been either something that I've looked at, something that I've observed, or never committed more than toy boxing.
And Dublin toy boxing?
Dublin toy boxing, yeah, in Kilbarrack there, yeah.
And you pro Muay Thai fighter?
Pro Muay Thai, yeah.
How many?
18 fights. 18 fights. Had 18 fights and 3 losses. And I was Irish champion as well. Muay Thai Irish champion. Won a twice, defender once. Yeah. I had an unreal career with it, basically. Fucking not bleeding, that'll get fucking nails and hands. A very humbling career, really enjoyed it. The people that I met basically set me on the path that I am today.
And I find them with sports people sometimes, you know, and from myself as well, sometimes when I stepped away from the sport, I used to feel real guilty about that I left something behind and could have maybe done something, and kind of an inner want. The way I kind of look at it now, it's just evolving into the next thing. That served me purpose for a while, and I'm just evolving. Do you feel that way, or was there a want, or do you look at that differently?
I was very lucky to be in the position that I was when I actually did the sort of knock toy boxing on the head, because I had a child at the time. At the time, I still do. At the time, my son was 2. And for the first 2 years of his life, that was basically fucking my focus was toy boxing. That was it. Then he came second. So for that those first 2 years, there wasn't really that proper father-son emotional connection. And I just thought, whatever, I didn't know much back then. And talking away from it, I didn't know much. So when we knocked it on the head, my focus was father-son relationship. And that was my go-to. So that was my excuse not to be bogged down by the idea that I'm not father anymore. I'm bogged down by the idea that I'm not able to do this toy boxing anymore. So that was my focus. But at the same time, it is stopped. And I had to have that time with myself to basically, if I put it down to you now, 2017 was the year that I will look back on and say it was completely broken. But at the same time, I was able to, and I'm very lucky to be grateful that I was able to get so much from that year to bring into 2018, 2019, and 20, and then what started in 2020 when now that if that person who was back in 2017 was fucking shell, we'll come 10 times more than the person, 10 times in every single way. I get off the question, do you ever miss toy boxing? And I don't. I actually don't miss it. But I do miss proof that I'm able to fight, proof that I'm able to put in the weigh-ins, the mental and the physical side of it. I miss that side because it's like something that I'm very straight when it comes to it, just for the way. I'm not that type of person that's sort of like, come here, I don't understand where you're coming from, understand. Just watch off, put everything in, throw yourself, and if you fail, who gives a fuck about it? So with me, I throw myself in, and that mental side of it, and then the physical side of it, I love just being able to do that and show that it can be done. So for the 8 weeks of the fighting habits, and anybody that's a fighter understands, 8 weeks of just being a pro and just constantly peaking. And then it comes down to the last week, you're tapering off, and you have to put weight. We used to get the lowest weight before they dried out, before they did the hot water baths, like the lowest weight probably was 77, 78 kilo. And then the day of the weigh-in, we'll do hot water baths. So we'll be up to my neck, scalding hot water, Epsom salts, fucking everything's running the tap, trying to soak all the water down. And I'll get from 76 to 78 kilo down to 72.5. And that's been a matter for like 2 hours. That mental aspect and the physical aspect is the build-up from those 8 weeks. You can't just say, I'm going to do this now after 6 weeks, 7 weeks of fucking half-assed. But that's the sort of, everything that evolved from that aspect of that would be the sort of I wouldn't miss it, the initial going in there fucking scrap, you know what I mean? Yeah. But that's just part of it, that's the one, we call that the 1%, do you know what I mean? That's 99% of it is from day one, it's only for the nose and say, yeah, that's the fight, right up to the fucking, the day of the fight, that 1% is just the fight, the 99% is everything for it.
And then the wake up is another fight before the fight.
Yeah, 100%. So 20 fights going on. 3 across the country, you good, yeah? 100%. I don't have the crack. There's around fucking 20 fights before that actual fight. There's everything. I don't even have a fight. Literally, it's
getting battered, inspired, and all.
Everything. You have your good days and your bad days, but it's a fucking roller coaster. But I have the biggest fight, one of the biggest fights, the fight mode, where actually it's the single fight now because it comes on me around 3 hours before the fight. 3 hours before the fight, I'm in this place and I'm just fucking deep in, ready for that bang. It's the reality of it, but I'm actually going to be fighting out in the next 3 hours. And I sink. I'm just looking, and I had the awareness at the time to like block everything out, go in myself, and just sit with it. And it lasts probably around an hour or two. And I'm fucking all the way battling through this, hoping that I get a phone call that the fight's cancelled. Do you know what I mean? And then next month something happens, something just clicks in the brain. And then you're back into this fucking beast mode. And then that doesn't come, for me, it doesn't come back. Like that day is, I expect that, every fight that I had, we expected that little moment of like, bollocks, this is actually happening now. And it happens, and we get through it, and then I just get on with the fight. So I'm numb to the fight then. You know what I mean?
And Paddy has a podcast called the DMT podcast. It's on Spotify. I listen to it. I listen to it a lot. And what Paddy talks about on the podcast, check it out, don't listen to me, but I'm going to ask him and talk to him about a bit of stuff, because what he talks about, and like, I was listening to a podcast, not the most recent one, the one before that, 35
was the reason.
35, and he was talking about like looking inwards and growing up as a person.
Yeah, oh, that's true. Yeah. Because I think every podcast is like that.
But he was talking about like, and like my parents were great, you know what I mean, and they done their best, but and like, as you brought what you just touched on there, doing the toy boxing, if you were talking about a person now, you wouldn't recognise them to who you are now. No. And I would feel that way. And I don't know if it's just a thing that happens when you're growing up. Like, the person when I was 23, if he stood out front of me now, I wouldn't recognise him. Yeah, you know what I mean? And I think that comes, that came to me, like what you said there, you were 2 years ago. I remember I was competing somewhere and Yvonne was pregnant on Max, and I was trying to, and I came to the realisation, I was cycling at the time, and I just pulled my bike over. I was in a bike race, and I just said at the side of the road, what am I doing here? My mom is like at home, pregnant, and yeah, she's telling me to go and do this, or she was behind actually in the car, and I just pulled over and said,
forcing the life out of you.
well, she was supportive. It was like, she's a baby, my baby, and I'm out here, and some people can do it, and I remember just going, and that was the last time and some people say, oh, you fucking faggot, what you do with that for? It's like, now I'm going to sign up to this shit. You need to grow up as a person. It's not about me like anymore. It was that, and some athletes can do that, and you're saying they're the successes. But for me, it was just like, no, man, I need to be doing this, and then like what you alluded to there, that kind of self-centeredness. Like, there's no room for that when you're bringing a kid into the world, and it's like, it's about them, it's about training them to be a man, it's about showing them love, showing them compassion, rather than just being missing.
Yeah, well, there's a few things there I can touch on. I remember the day I said, like, this is fucking it. I missed 3 family holidays. Do you know what I mean? Reuben's mother, she went away 3 times with Reuben, and I wasn't there because we had a fight camp. Oh, like, it was always something to do with fight, and I knew I couldn't commit to it. It was like, my head won't be, I can't go on a holiday, miss a week's training, and come back and my head be all over the place. So every time it was justified. Oh, it's okay. I was on the phone with her, and she was basically alluding to the fact that like Reuben was looking at my dad as his dad, and it just hit me with one of the bricks. It was like, well, right, grand. I didn't say it on the phone that time. I was back in the apartment on my own, in the gap on my own, and I had this whole thing to fucking think about it. And it was that night then, I was going right home. That's it. And I was on mind, I signed up to a fucking fight. I think that was in January, and in March was meant to be the fight. January was already signed up in my head. That's it, 8-week camp and all this bollocks. And then I just was like, I'm done with it. No, I can't actually, because if we have, right, because I could have done the fight camp, done the fucking, the whole lot, all down, and then with the back of the mind, that's playing in the back of the mind that my heart's not fully in it the way it was, right, so I know that now. What happens if during the fight I get into a bit of a spot, I get a solid in the neck, fucking, like, before I could take the hits heavy, not a bother, but now when I take the hit, that like, swapping from an animal to a beast to fucking, and just relax, go down, that idea that like, I can switch off, because I know I have a family to go back to, I know my heart's not fully in it, there's my excuse not to fight past his pain, not taking an 8 count, fucking, I'll say that, there's my fucking get out clause, do you know what I mean? So that was, so once I knew that was in me, I was like, there's no way I'll go back in already, not a fucking chance. So I was able, knocked on the head, I haven't gone back since, I didn't even consider going back throughout the whole time, knocked on the head. There was another thing as well, like you said, you pulled over, that was a decision made. Like, you realise these things over time. Like, that is basically the death of your ego. One part of your ego. Like, that's something that's dead now. And like that's like your identity. that you're like deciding yourself, now it's deciding by it. So I decided that like, I'm gonna kill this part of me, it's dead now, and I decided that, which is great, because if someone else came to you and forced you into that decision, you'd have that resentment behind it then. You'd be going great for the good while, and then one day you might have a bad day, and you blame that person. This is your fault, the reason why I'm in this position, my head's up my arse, because you told me to stop. I never wanted to stop. And it's like fucking back to square one. You haven't moved from that time you said, right, I'm gonna knock it on the head. Where I've, in the space of fucking, what, 2007 now? Space of 3 to 4 years, I have fucking grown 20 years. Do you know what I mean? And it's an open road. Like, there's no, every time I get to a place, I'm very comfortable where I am right now. But I'm reminding myself that in a year's time I'm going to be completely different to where I am now. And because of that awareness, I know opportunities going to come into my life. Do you know what I mean? And you can't have any resentment. You can't be fucking looking back at the past and have that emotional connection with it. No, anyway, you won't be here today.
No.
You won't be interviewing me anyway.
No. And there's probably other people going, I'm still doing this sport, I have 2 kids and blah blah blah. Fair fucking play to them. I'm not.
That's the people there.
We're all different. You know what I mean? I just wanted to be in 2 places at once. And the place for me, I wanted a 100% be wasn't on the bike and the bike was really going to us correctly.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm going through it all.
100%.
That type of stuff.
That's growth, and there you go. You decided, right, that's that part of the ego dead. And then that's a chain reaction as well, because when you kill that part off, that's a big part of it. You look at things differently then. And you're making the decision. That's the fucking great thing about it. You're making the decision. So you can start making decisions in a positive way then after. I mean, obviously it's not easy. You still have to sit there and idea that like, it's fucking death or something. You have to fucking on over and say, and go through those emotions.
And you go through a few pains of, will I go back? I look at people now and they say to me, would you not come back out? And it's like, I used to feel a bit guilty over it, and now I just go, you put it better words than I have ever. I used to do that. I'm doing other shit now. I'm just evolving all the time. I'm evolving all the time. Doing jiu-jitsu or doing running or doing different stuff because I'm not going backwards.
Look at the, like, for starters you got the right stuff. The family was there then, you were in that. But look at the time to get back to yourself, that you were able to open up and just go in different directions. Any direction you wanted. I've explained this on a few podcasts of my own, of where my mental aspect was, of why I couldn't just fucking start fucking reaching out and doing all these things I wanted. It was basically being afraid of it, taking responsibility of it, insecure, everything. And once I started tapping into that and realising that, I was able to just go bang, bang, bang. And like, my avenues right now are just like a fucking shotgun going off, and they're going everywhere. And it's also welcoming anything to come into my life where it's going to take me out of like, what I'm doing. Because I do have some sort of set routine of how I live my life typically. But I'm that open that literally I could be taken out of something that I was constantly doing to go into something completely different. That's fucking, for me, it's a savage way. And actually, my very first podcast was sum it up. It's basically my pot of gold. And by the time I'm dead, when I die, I want that fucking pot of gold filled with fucking, God knows what. You know what I mean? So, and you don't have to be a fucking, you don't have to be an expert. You know what I mean? I don't have to be an expert at everything that's in the pot of gold. I just need to want to experience it and be open to it. And that grows it mentally, spiritually, and physically. Whereas it influences so many other people then.
It's when you, like, on with your podcast, you talk about doing work on yourself, you know. Myself and Yvonne, when we come together and listen to your podcast and identify with them a lot, it's like you have these 2 people, and they're 2 independent people, and they're products of where they came from. And really, I'm a son of a child, and he's a son of a child who never grew up, and they hadn't got the emotional wherewithal. It's what they did. You married a boy at 18 and you had a kid, and that's what they do. You know what I mean? And they done the best that they could do, but sometimes
I know about your mother and father.
Me mother and father, and you look at that system, and you can kind of, you can be a victim and point the finger, or you can use, this is my philosophy, this is what I would sign up to, you can use that as, okay, I didn't get X, Y, and Z, this is broken, I need to work on this now, instead of being, we didn't get this and we didn't get that, for me. That's where your podcast come in as well.
Yeah, well, look, they give you a better understanding of yourself. If you look at yourself and then work on that, then something clicks in the mind. You say, oh, fucking hell, it's me working on myself. Look at your man at that, and you say, they ain't working on themselves. And then when you start working, you start breaking the chain reaction of your family cycle. The repetition gets broken when you start working. You start identifying yourself with your man, that if you had a fucking issue with, or you don't even talking or whatever, you start identifying it. You're like, I'm actually breaking that now. I'm breaking that side of that family association. I'm breaking it. Now making my own fucking chain reaction. But then you turn around to your man, in your own head, do it physically to them, or you do it in their own self. It's like, they are just a product of what they grew up with. And they never got the opportunity to look into themselves. They never got an opportunity to do their own internal work that they had. So, like that, they had a family, and they passed it on to their children. Their children grew up in their perspective of how life is for them. And then what happens, that chain reaction, family reaction, just keeps continuing. If the father's an alcoholic, big chance that the children are going to be have a bad relationship with drinking. Do you know what I mean? And it just takes that one child of a family to break that family tradition of like drink, drugs, abuse, whatever it could be. And it also flips in the negative side. It could be one child out of a family that's fucking is creating the chain reaction of destruction. A family that's fucking well off, like, or or it's identified. That's what brings for me with my own personal life and their comes on with. But that gives me compassion for my man. You know what I mean? And that's like throw that back at them. And it's about learning and again killing your ego off altogether, because you could turn around and resent your man for the position you were in when you look at them and you give them that.
We moved because we're cool cunts and we can do what we want down here.
Fucking right.
We pay our taxes so we can do what we want.
Right job. It's the back garden anyway. I hope you like it.
Anyway, what I want to start talking to Paddy about is, as well as lots of people down here, and kind of grown up as a man, and when you mature as a man, and some people never get to this stage, and that's whatever, each their own. When you look at your son, and when you look at the information that you are fed, and I look at the information that I was fed, you start filtering down and going, listen, I need to put better information into him. When did you start? Who were your influences to make you even think like that? And where did you get the idea going, no, this way of doing things, I need to change this?
That were it. Right, so when did that start? Well, you can look at 2017, we go back to that, because that was basically the year every single part of my ego died. Not just one part, but every single part of it died. From the relationship that I was in with my mother's son, to the place where I was living, to the person that I was, to the toy boxing, to my own belief system. Physically and mentally, I was fucking smashed that year. Grateful that I had the people that I had around me, because like I went through the darkest times that I've went through were in that year, and going into 2018 then, the people that I had around me, I was able to cushion off. I was able to like say, Jesus, I know I'm in a fucking sticky situation, but fuck me, do I have good people around me, family, friends, and close relationships with family members as well, like cousins and stuff, that I was able to sit back there. So because of that cushion and neck that I was able to fall back on, it gave me enough time to allow other stuff to come in. Because if I hadn't got that, I just would have been hitting the hard surface every single time, and nothing would have been able to come in. No opportunity for a different perspective, a different belief system, or just different people around me. Yeah. So what happened then, from the lowest point that I was at, to being able to, like, one of the biggest things that came into me was just going down to the beach and getting into the sea. Like, my brother Ray was going down to the sea 4 or 5 months before I decided to go down.
and I hated it. I was coursing. First day I got into it, I was coursing it. It was up to me waist, and I was coursing it, saying, what the fuck am I doing in this thing? Wrecking me head it was. And then because of Mel Robbins at the time, I was getting all this stuff sent from my mate Nemo about Mel Robbins, the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 aspect. So if you have a decision to make, do it in 5 seconds. So like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Don't let your brain think. Just go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and make that decision. And that's what he's been lying back in the fucking, doing backstrokes in the fucking sea, and I'm up in my neck, coursing him. And he just goes, Mel Robbins, Paddy, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it was literally in that 5, 4, 3, and I just dived under. And I literally, that dive under, everything washed off me, and I came back up laughing, smiling, joking, calling me fucking this, calling me that. And like when I got out, it was a completely different person, because the next day I had my gear ready to come back down. And up to that point, 5 months I'd say, I was saying to me, we're alright, nah, I'm not going down, fuck, I'm not going down, in this little bit of a rut. So that's just one of the aspects that I was able to allow to come into my life, because of the surrounding that I was in, the people that I had around me, that I was lucky to have that. But then, because of that, you start getting sent books, you look at, like, I was again very lucky that me and my brother was similar situation with the two of us in what we were going through, and we were able to bounce off each other. So we had each other to support, and when he's doing stuff, he'd throw it off to me, and when I'm doing stuff, we'll throw it off to him. And Joe Dispenza was one of the people that Joe Dispenza, he's fucking unbelievable. He goes into the internal work that we have, and that belief, that emotional connection to that belief and brain thought and manifesting stuff, but it's also connecting to the emotional part of it, not just thinking and saying it, repetition of the fucking word, I'm going to have this, I'm going to have that. It's the emotional connection to it, going through all your heart center, all your chakras. So that was just the start of it. And then Bruce Lipton, he came in the scene, and Bruce Lipton was the fucking light bulb moment that I had, because the wisdom of yourselves, if anybody has a chance, get into that, the wisdom of yourselves. It talks about your environment, and it's literally your whole belief system has got to do with your environment that's around you, and the perception that you get from the environment that's around you, and it changes ourselves. It completely, from head to toe, completely changes it. So when I had that perspective on it, and I started looking at things differently, I was able to start bringing in different things, and where I am from when I was the start of it to where I am now is simply because of that. And I was able to bring in all this different mindsets and mind frames, and people just getting, again, it just opens up avenues. It's where it basically has me today. What else were you saying there, actually?
No, just about like the push on, you know what I mean, the push on of what brought you here, and with your brother, and
and then you were saying about Reuben then, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the thing, yeah. So when all this stuff started coming into my life about how we think, where our perceptions come from, our belief systems, I'm looking at Reuben then, 3, 4 years of age, and this is, I literally stopped how we talking to him when I realised this in the same way. So I was looking at him as in, he's just a child, he's gonna learn, blah blah blah. Now I'm looking at him like he is an open book. I could design Reuben to be the most destructive child in the world, or the most productive child in the world, and because he's on a theta brainwave, that's like the connection between the conscious and the subconscious, or basically subconscious. He's basically hypnotised up until around 7 years of age, because his brainwave frequency is on that. So if you're hypnotised, you can get told what to do. He's hypnotised at the moment. That's why children are living in the present moment 24/7 from the time they're born up to around 7 or 8, when the frequency of the brain starts changing. They're living in the present moment. And a perfect example is that when they're children, they fight, right? And look, we're adults or teenagers, we fight, we hold on to it for years. Children, they hold on to it for like 3 minutes. It's like we're fighting over the marker, and then 3 minutes later they're hugging each other. It's because they're living in the present moment. That present moment was that marker was the issue. Now the marker's gone, and now the next thing is like what we do next. Another one as well, when I know when Reuben's upset about something, I don't have to worry about it, because I know he's going to come out of it, and it's just a matter of making him feel comfortable that he's alright to be upset. And then he's just going to come out of it, because the brainwave frequency cannot. And it's mad. It's this thing. When I start taking mushrooms and stuff like that, I know I'm in the present moment. When I'm in the present moment, when I'm on mushrooms and I'm in the present moment, I just start, all this shit starts fucking springing up, and I'm like, this is basically, I'm basically I have a child's brainwave frequency right now, and then it's just like, fucking hell, Reuben. It's just another fucking way of putting it. Reuben's on mushrooms 24/7. You know what I mean? So I look at it, and then I go, Jesus, when you're on mushrooms and you have a bad trip, can you imagine a child in the present moment He's having a bad trip. Imagine a day he comes into and his man and dad's killing each other. He's having a bad trip. Ever seen me on mushrooms and you have a bad trip? Well, I haven't, thank God I haven't, but the idea that people talk about a bad trip, I'm never touching them again. No, I ain't going back into that. No way. Can you imagine a child hasn't got a choice? So that's in the fucking frequency, and that's what's playing when he goes up. It's fucking crazy. So when it comes to Reuben, when I'm talking to him, I make sure I'm down eye level in his eyes, and I'm just like making sure that he knows that I can see him. And when he's upset, I let him know that he's upset. I know you're upset. I know you don't want to go to bed, but look, this is what's going to have to happen. And that idea, like, you have 5 minutes. He's in the present moment. Do you know what I mean? Like, in 5 minutes he will be brand new. Do you know what I mean? And then sometimes you have to fucking put the foot down and say, I don't give a bollocks. Get up that page, you. But it's just my whole perspective on how I was looking at Reuben changed completely when all this stuff started coming into my life, because I started changing, and then I was putting one and one together. I was like, holy shit, because Bruce Lipton explains a child when they're born to around 7 or 8, the brainwave frequency around, and that's why childhood trauma in every single adult is in us, and we just don't realise it because it's playing in the subconscious mind like a relay, and that you have that self-sabotage fucking thing going over and over and over again, and then one day you have a nervous breakdown, you go to the psychiatrist, you have these fucking enlightenment moments if you go and do plant medicine, all this stuff comes up from the subconscious from when you're a child. You see yourself as a child, and it's like you forgive yourself for being this fucking dark on yourself for the whole time. Like this magic happens, and so when I'm looking at Reuben, I know when I say something to him, it's going into the subconscious, even if he doesn't know. He told me one day, he's going to school, and he's like, we're killing the world, or we're destroying the world, because he got off his niece, and she's just basically pollution and how everything's going on with the world, that we're destroying it. And I goes, why don't you be the person that saves it? You can be that person that saves the world. That's who you are going to be. You're going to be that person that saves the world. And I'm saying that off the road and off my tongue, knowing that he's just listening, but it's gone into the subconscious. And that could fucking play in the background. He's bleeding 18, 19, sparks a fucking idea that goes off. You don't know where it's going to lead. Where we could say something completely negative, and he's self-sabotaging when he's in later. He doesn't know why he's self-sabotaging. Christy Dignam's a fucking perfect example. He didn't know he was molested. He was raped and he didn't even know. Until it came back up on him then. When he was an adult. As a child, he'd be through, boom, what the fuck? And all suppressed, all in the background. None of them heard of it. That self-sabotage and that fucking guilt-ridden life all that time. Crazy. But basically, from my learning of understanding through those Bruce Lipton, Mel Robson, Bruce Lipton, like all these little things that I can take over, gave me a look at Reuben and was like, holy shit, he's an open book. So what I do, that's his environment. It's going to affect him. Am I going to give him a chain reaction of it, negative or positive? And from there, like, it's that every day I'm thinking that. With him down, when I have him down at the shelters, I know he's a child in this environment. It's going to carry into his adult life in some form of way, in a positive way. He sees it as a positive way.
And what you spoke about Reuben there, right? Like, I have a 17-year-old now and I have a 12-year-old, so I'm kind of out the other side. The 17-year-old thought was bleeding great up until he was about 15, and then he starts, like, you know what I mean?
Gets notions
doing his own thing. But like, my missus, and she raised them just outside the toilets down there. Every day she had them down from when they were 2 years of age all the way. She always brought them out here because they pricked around the rock fields and stuff. But what you're talking about there, all that subconscious stuff, I would have said when I was younger, make sure you do that skill work because so you can study and so you can get your leaving cert, so you can this, and like what you say, that's learned behaviour from what I heard. And when I say that, I'm like, why the fuck did I even say that? Because it was said to me, and instead of now what we try and say is, listen, try our best, but there's something out there for you. 100%. I would hate for me kids, and I always say this to them, to be like bean counters for someone from 9 to 5. It's like, there's loads of other stuff you can do. You know what I mean? Look,
we all have that talent in us, regardless of what it is, and you just have to be in an environment that gives you that comfortableness to be that talent. Like me, like, I put my hand at anything. But I love to know, I can pinpoint a few things in my life where I got that idea that I haven't got the confidence or ability to go any further than a plateau of a level. I got to a level, and then when it came to that fucking taking that final step to go even higher, I go, you know what, I'm comfortable here, I'm happy. Maybe because I was the second youngest, and my ma looked after me. Look, I could have been babied a lot, you know what I mean? My sister Jade, she looked after me like a mother. My brother Mick, I looked at him, he'd be big brother and stuff like that. Always looked after, you know what I mean? So I hadn't got that idea that I was out my own all the time. And when shit did get heavy when I was younger, I'd go back to my ma, I don't need this, give me a bit of, and my ma like, yeah, it's not about it, come to me. So that transcended into my adult life where I can go so far and I'm like, grand, as soon as I had to get out of the comfort zone, I'm like, oh bollocks, oh, where's me fucking ma, I want me ma, you know what I mean? So I recognise that, and I got help for that, Psyche, I got help for that, where you tap into the subconscious and you go into these places and you realise that, and you put a fucking powerful, strong affirmation message into the subconscious through this work, that's what you are going to start living by. And then you had to put the work in of like, yeah, you're not just saying it, you actually had to put it to action. My affirmation was I live freely and confidently with the decisions that I make in my life. So when it comes to a decision that I have to make in my life, I'm freely and confidently making that decision. And I'm saying that all the time, especially when I get in the sea. When I'm in a stressful environment, in the ice baths, the sea, cold showers, when I'm meditating, well, not stressful, but like if I'm in those stressful environments, that's what I'm saying to myself all the time. And then there's another one. If I seek discomfort, so my discomfort. I seek discomfort with love, so my discomfort becomes love. And that's where I'm at when especially in the big decisions. Like, I'm leaving my job next month. I'm going to go full time in the Wim Hof, which is going to not just the Wim Hof, but it's going to lead into so many other things. Because I'm that open. That I'm making that decision to step off and be fucking so open to failure, that if it doesn't go my way of how I'm thinking it's going to go, I'm like, grand, it didn't work out this path, I'm just going to take another path, I'll go fucking somewhere else. And it's just a matter of that, constantly doing that work. This, what you're doing yourself, and you're saying with your kids, you put that back on the kids. Can you imagine then, like, you said 15 second, now it's about self, seeing he's a prick, a wanker.
Yeah, he thinks he knows it all, and as that's the way it should be. 100%. You know what I mean?
Basically, they grow a set of balls and they're fucking looking here. I'm the fucking man now.
At 18 months, a lion chases, or the alpha lion chases at 18 months old the young lion out of the pack for a reason. Yeah. You know what I mean? And when a teenager is 15, he's that 18-month-old lion. That's what happens. You know what I mean? Because
he's becoming a man. He's becoming a man. Yeah. And the great thing about it, if you have that understanding, you're able to let him go out there and make his mistakes, knowing that, yeah, look, fucking it, your doors are always open, the arms are always open.
100%.
So mate, go out there and fucking do your shit. But yeah, come here, give us a break. You know what I mean? At the same time, you're all right. I'm gonna get that with Ruben.
But it's all that type of stuff that you talk about, that number one, myself and Yvonne will be open, and you have to be open. Yeah. And it's about, like, I read a lot, and all the books I read, it's easy reading them. It's putting them into action is where the magic happens. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Can read it and quote all the books. It's, can you actually do that? It doesn't matter what fuckhead college up the road, what fuckhead neighbour up the road, their young fella's going to the college. Are you comfortable that your son is pursuing his happiness and supporting that, rather than your ego with the photo of him with the master's degree and all that you never got, but he got, and somehow it massages your ego that 100%. You didn't get one, but he got one, so that somehow makes you a better person.
And it's so unfortunate, because so for instance, just take an analogy, that son of that person, he's had to going off doing his college degree, coming out, the father's loving it, fucking look at this is who my son is. Won't put it to any action because he doesn't want to do it. He never wanted to do it in the first place. He was doing it for his man and dad. So there you go, there's no commitment or love in that. He has the choice now to go off and commit to that if he wants to. But then behind that person, that child, is the fucking talent, is a real person of who he really is. And unfortunately, when they go pursue that, the mother and father's looking at them saying, what are you doing? You're fucking wasting your shit. Well, you're not able to. And some of them, even worse, disband them. Don't want to have nothing to do with them. Just destroy that person before they even have a chance to prove how good they are. And that's just unfortunate. I'm just so grateful that I realised that when Ruben was too. So now, like, literally, if he comes to me and says he wants to be a ballerina, I'm like, grand, 100% walk away. You better be the best ballerina. None of this fucking half-assing shit. No, listen. But what I'm saying is, like, you can be completely open to fucking anything. The idea that he's going on pursuing what he loves. Fucking hell, man. Amazing. To actually know that you actually have something that you love, that you want to go and pursue. And if that's in the office, or if that's down in the fucking doing art,
or doing the masters, or whatever. Once you're happy, that's for me. And books I've read and the work I've done on myself, and thanking my parents for all them little things that I had to work out. You know what I mean? When you work them out, you become a better person than you were before. Like, you know what I mean?
And look, I know at some stage of the game, me and Ruben's going to cross paths. We're logging heads. I'm hopefully going to be educated enough within myself that when that actually happens, I can see past it. Do you know what I mean? Because he could be making big decisions that all I can see is the fucking danger. You know what I mean? And then it'll be someday, but like, it's a fucking part of growing up, and it's a part of him saying, right, Dad, see you later. I'm going out to the big bad world on my own. Grand. Just don't get a fucking pregnant too early.
But then, like, going back to Bruce Lipton and them books, like, I would read a lot of Joseph Campbell stuff. I like Joseph Campbell, and I'm a big follower and reader of Carl Jung. And Carl Jung would have influenced a lot of people, and Carl Jung or Joseph Campbell, his whole philosophy is, and what we practice most days down here, it's like the dark cave holds the treasure you seek. You know what I mean? And it's, you have to look, all the answers are inside. They're not getting the car or your man's fault or his or point the finger. Everything's inside. 100%. It's in there. You just have to get in rather than externally blame. Look inside. You know what I mean?
And people say, how do you look inside? I don't know what to fucking do. I don't know how to. Repetition. That's simple. That's how simple it is. And the idea that I can learn a language just by repeating it. That's amazing. The idea that I can learn how to sing, I can learn how to play the guitar, I can learn how to be a professional fighter just by repetition. That's the key. If you want to seek what's really inside you, don't give me this bullshit. You're gonna fucking have enlightenment after 2 months. You have the rest. It's gonna be the rest of your life.
It's a lifetime job,
and what a fucking journey to be on. What a privilege to be able to have that idea that I can just, you know what, I'm gonna just be constantly learning until the day I die. Animal, because I'd rather be learning constantly every month, every year, every fucking 10 years than being the exact same person, resenting my life wasn't big when I'm 80, regretting shit when I'm 80. Now, you're gonna have some sort of regrets when you're 80 because it's just the way it is with life. But can you imagine like being 80 with a 30-year-old mind, like, fucking saying, I should have been this, I could have done that, I could have done this. What the fuck? That's so sad, like, to me. And I welcome age now. I welcome the idea that I'm going to be fucking 80, 90 years of age, fucking, I don't know, doing whatever I am doing, and just welcoming that openness to a different person, you know? And again, it comes down to fucking the work. Do you want to be that person? Do you want to be fucking, or are you happy to sit in this fucking bubble that you're in? I know what side I want to be on anyway.
And you talk about that 80-year-old with the 30-year-old. Carl Jung talks about that, the unlived life. That's what he calls it. And that unlived life, that's what gives me nightmares. That's 100%. why I
fill that pot of gold.
Fill that pot of gold with adversity. This is uncomfortable. You know, I need to go towards that rather than this is safe over here. Let's stay over safe. Let's stay afraid over here. Fuck that. Let's go towards the fun.
But that's staying the safe. So that is the ego protecting itself. Like the ego's not protecting you, it's protecting its belief system. And that ego is there to say, no, you're not doing that. No, because if you do that, that means I'm dead. That means someone else is going to come in my place. So now I'm going to throw everything. That's that self-sabotage as well. You're learning, constantly learning new stuff, and then after 3 months of just like living this whole new life, that fucking ego pops up and goes, this person keeps going this way, I'm out here. I haven't got a job to do, so I'm just going to fucking throw everything. I'm just going to just like ramp it up, that subconscious old behaviour starting to come back. You go to see old friends, you go to old places, you start taking old stuff. You start the fucking ego ramping it up for you to have that self-sabotage moment. And that's literally because the ego was trying to protect itself, to self-avoid, basically. That's basically what's holding us all back.
And like you said, taking old stuff, and people listening to this, you're not going to find that connection that you're after in a gaff party sharing a bag at 5 o'clock in the morning. You'll find it down the shelters. You'll find it reading these books. You'll find it doing work on yourself. But unfortunately, if you're in kitchens at 6 and 7 in the morning, it's not going to be found. It's not going to be found there. Quick, ring your man, get him on the phone, get a few bags down here.
Let's talk about that. Let's talk about they were fucking like. Jesus, the thing about me is right, and only the closest people know this to me, that my first drug I ever took was edible cookie, and I was 30 years of age when I took it. I've never done coke, I never smoked, I never did this. Actually, no, stop saying what I never did. I can tell you what I have done. Yeah. Smoked grass, took one edible cookie, never do it again. Mushrooms, DMT, and San Pedro. They're the five medicines that I took. They're not drugs. Other than that, I haven't done anything else. But I am the person that's in a kitchen, fucking gargling like a heavy fucking motherfucker. I'm the one that goes to sleep around 4 or 5, wakes up at 7, everybody's still going on the light. I'm like, give me a cure up, smash that into me, then I'm up again. Fucking round 3, round 4, however long it is. Like, to have people around me that's on the go constantly because they're on the fucking coke or whatever, I'm just grand, I can get a fucking gargle into me because I'm not suffering with this hangover. My bollocks am I going home to fucking die in a bed, gargle, get the fucking hair of the dog into me, and I'm grand for looking until it's game over, till the fucking party's over. I'm the one who goes to the shop and gets the gargle. They're not coming away. We need someone to go to the shop, pull those blinds.
But I'm talking with people at the moment. Now these people would have been acting the bollocks anyway, whether there was coronavirus or no coronavirus, but I think it's amplified. See, we just spoke about the ego. The ego, have you ever read the Chimp Paradox?
No.
Alright, the Chimp Paradox, similar to what you're talking about. Your ego is like, Jesus Christ, I'm in danger here. So he breaks it down into the human brain and the chimpanzee brain. And the chimpanzee brain is when somebody cuts you up driving down the road, he's the brain that wants to drag the cunt out and beat him to death in the middle of the street.
Yeah.
It's because he's worried about his safety. He's always looking at people. That man looks a bit dodgy. The chimpanzee brain is the one. Because if you see chimpanzees when they're in a troop and they see a different troop, they're freaked out. Yeah. You know what I mean? Why? For safety. Their ego is like, these cunts are gonna kill you and eat you. So the chimpanzee brain is that ego. You know what I mean? That keeps us safe and stuff. But people at the moment their egos are at them. They're terrified. Their jobs could be gone. They can't leave 5k. They can't do this. They can't do that. They can't talk the way me and you are talking. They can't do that. No. So they have to get bags. They have to get rocks. They have to drink fucking to beat the man. You know what I mean?
But it's going into that survival mode of the idea that if I actually think about what's going on here, some shit has to change because I'm not going to be able to last.
Comfortably numb.
Wow, 100%.
Comfortably numb.
We're saying with a lot, we're talking about ego a lot here, but you have to understand that the ego is protecting us, and that's all it's doing.
Yeah.
It's not. Because when you can mention ego and people think this lavish cunt going around big fucking this bad. Your ego is everything. Yeah. Your ego is everything about you. Your family, your friends, your belief system, your job, every single thing. From the time you wake up to the time you go to sleep, your ego. Yeah. And that's all it is. It's just whatever your belief system and perception is, that's all your ego. So when we're mentioning it all the time, it's not the lavish fucking wanker.
No.
And that, again, there you go, there's an example. Someone who is that person who uses the ego to flaunt everything, that's just someone who's insecure. Yeah. And he's using this image to make him bigger than what he's actually in inside. Yeah. But everybody now that's comfortably known, going through this, either, a lot of them don't want to admit that it's wrong. Do you know what I mean? They don't want to admit that this is not normal. Yeah. And that means, because if they admit that it's not normal and it's not right what's happening at the moment, that means they'll have to come on to our side, which is the people that are going out not giving a bollocks about what's going on here. And we're not giving a bollocks in a respectful way. Like, if someone wants space, I'll give them space. If someone doesn't want a hug, well, don't. If someone doesn't want a fucking handshake, grand. If someone wants to wear a mask around me, 100% walk away. So I just don't give a bollocks about the aspect of I'm going to live my life. Yes. My life. And if you want to join me, by all means, I'm here with open arms doing it. And I'm able to admit, this is the thing as well, if I'm wrong, I'm able to admit that. I'll be shown that I'm wrong. And so far, I've just lived my life. Since March 2020, I've been calling this shit out. I've just lived my life. And from living my life, I've met the most beautiful people, I've seen the most beautiful places, and I've lived, as far as I'm concerned, a very comfortably whole life since March 2020. Like I thought I had an awareness about myself. When this shit kicked off, I had to go fucking deeper, and I had to make those hard decisions of like, but will I go along with this? Because like I have my family who half of them agree, half of them don't, and I'm just glad now it's come to this far that they're seeing it in a different light, and thank God, because it's unfortunate. This is separating families, it's killing our friendships, it's a complete divide in all of us, and at the end of the day, all it is just the ego saying, if you let this in, I die. And that means
you're gonna kill me, nanny.
Yeah, so that's the ego saying, you're gonna kill your nanny if you
swimming in the sea, you cunt, you're gonna kill us all.
Right, so this is the ego trying to survive, so it's amplifying it. And then you have the government and the news media who should get the blame on every single thing that's happening in this country, amplifying the fear. Look, this is the thing, there's a difference between fear and danger. Fear is your perceived fear, what you think is fear. Fucking sitting, crossing a bridge, people think that have fear in crossing a bridge. There's no danger though. Danger is a car coming at you. That you have to react to that. Yeah. Danger is someone robbing your gaff. You have to react to that. You could be lying in bed. You could have fear that someone's going to rob your gaff. You know what kind of way?
Yeah.
But there's no danger there.
Yeah.
But there's no danger here. Do you know what kind of way? The fear is that the danger is there when it's not.
If 12 months in, if it was as bad, there'd be bodies stacking up.
I'd be dead.
I don't know one person. I don't know even one old person. I know fucking hundreds.
No, I'd be dead. I would have been taken off the smokes ages ago, because I've lived and lived again in this whole time. I'm either the cure or the fucking source of it. Do you know what I mean? Because nothing has gone through with me.
And then I look at, like you're saying, split families. I was down with my ma yesterday, and my ma would have been very, very worried about it. And she's looking at the news, and then my ma says to me yesterday, I'm not taking that vaccine. I was like,
really?
Why not? She got hospital or whatever, they all gave them the vaccine and they're all out sick. Now, if you want, I'm like you want to wear a mask, cool. If you don't want it, blah blah blah, I'm live and let live. But I'm living.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, I'm living, let live, but I'm living. You know what I mean?
100%.
And I was talking about somebody. Sometimes I go, will people not wake up and blah blah blah? And my mom says to me, some people are afraid of spiders. And no matter what you say to them, they're afraid of spiders. Yep. Just leave them fucking off. Yeah. And I'm like, when she says something like that to me, I go, there you go,
so
John.
Simple,
you're a stupid cunt again. And she has to teach you. You know what I mean? I'm always learning, like, you know. So I'm not afraid. Live and let live. If you want to wear a mask, if you want to get vaccines, whatever. I post my stuff online. I don't argue with anyone. I just post it. It's like having a shite. I just flush it. You know what I mean? And post it. I'm done. But if I like it, I'll go back and forth with you private. You know what I mean? We'll have a chat. We'll have a chat. But I'm not going to start doing it online and making me look like a fucking idiot, making you look like a fucking idiot.
One big use thing we could all, no, I'm doing it already, but I would love to give people that are in that narrative, that fear narrative, I'd love to give them a fucking month's challenge, just a month's challenge. Not all these challenges, 30-day fucking the news waiting, all this bollocks. I'll give you a month's challenge to switch off the news and the radio and social media on this whole fear narrative. Just complete for 1 month, and just see how differently your month changes. Because if your attention is going towards this fear narrative, that's what you're going to live. If you haven't got that attention to go towards, you're going to have to start thinking. And if you start thinking, well, I'm not just going to sit and gaff here. I want to do something now. You're going to either read a book, listen to a podcast, fucking, it may be telly that you're watching, but it'll be something completely different that has nothing to do with this. I'd love to be able to get 10 people in that fucking group who are in that fear and go, your challenge is no news, no fucking report, no nothing for a month, and come back to me after a month. See where you are at the minute. Because it doesn't exist other than that. It does not exist. The only time it exists for me if someone tries to force it on me. You know what I mean? If I can't go in, if I get stopped, or if I get fucking asked to put on a mask, and I politely tell them I'm not putting it on. I haven't worn a mask anyway. I have I have a bandana, that's what I have. And I'll only wear it if I'm in the shop and I could easily go into fucking debate with them, but like that, like what, right, Grant,
What's the point?
I put the bandana on me, but like, when you see what it has written on it, you know what I mean? And that's going to be in your face when you're interacting. I have a message for anybody that, look, it's there, it's avoid me bollocks, or I'll have another one coming in now that has, just fucking, it's a message. So when you're saving me, that's in your face, where I just like, and that's my ego, they're saying, no, fuck off. You're forcing this on me. Now I'm just going to have this little play with you here now and have that in your face. But I'd love to be able to get that people, because I've seen so many people at the very start of this who are in that fear narrative, and where they are now, it's like they're living their life.
For the first month I shit myself, man, blah blah blah. And then I was like, what? This is fleeting. What?
Crazy.
Here we are, 12 months
Crazy.
in. Like, if any young people or any healthy people who are dying of this coronavirus, they would have been dragging their dead carcasses across the late toy show and showing everyone.
Yeah, 100%.
They would have.
100%.
They're only short of doing that. 100%. You know what I mean? So you're all right. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole here any further. It's all good.
No. But it's
get in the sea. Be all good.
100%. And that's the message here on all of this stuff. We don't give a bollocks. Just fucking live your life. That's what I love about fucking either this self-awareness, the individual that you are, that you have this power about yourself, that you are able to think for yourself. When you have people just sitting there watching this fucking telly, listening to the radio, reading the newspapers, on social media, like your perception and your belief system is that fear narrative, regardless of anything else that's going on in life. I've seen people who are deep in it, who decided to switch off and who are living their life now happy and comfortable. I've seen people who are living in it from March and are still living in it. And again, it's just the ego not wanting to admit that there's something else going on here, that it's not people are just dying to this virus. They don't want to admit that there's like, you know what, this is actually a lot of bollocks. It's ruining my life. The news is ruining the life. The government's mandated lockdowns and all that, that's ruining people's lives. There's more people affected negatively from the lockdowns, the mandates, than there is of the virus. You know what I mean? And you don't look, again, I'd love to be able to put a challenge out there. If anybody's watching this, put that challenge on something. Put it on yourself. You know what I mean?
Switch off the news.
Switch off the news. Stop looking at reports, and I guarantee it goes away. And you learn a lot about yourself in that punter anyway.
And I suppose we're going to end it at that. So, to take away from this podcast, live and let live. Do a bit of work on yourself. Chase the old adversity.
Yeah. Seek discomfort.
Yeah.
That's the one. Seek discomfort with love, because like love is the highest frequency. And if you're doing something with that honest love and not a fucking ego image or fucking you want something back from it. If you're honestly doing it with love, you won't even bat an eyelid of what negative or positive comes back from it. The positive I'm getting is just my energy resonating out, and if whatever comes back. Seek discomfort with love. Full love, proper love.
That is us. Yep.
Get the mushrooms out.
Bother.
No, all good.
Nice one, man. Thanks you. Thanks you.
The chats.
Yeah, fucking the
Look
real
at that.
ones, man. It's fucking bother. I tell you what, we'll be on to something here, bud. And just, I'm after forgetting to throw this in. Like, subscribe, share this podcast, give us a dig out. We're trying to get more followers, views. Also, check out Paddy's podcast, DMT podcast on Spotify. Recommended, top drawer. Paddy, where can we get you on socials?
Yeah, right, so you can find me, Fabio Foster's, and there's a story behind that. Fabio Foster's on Instagram, Breed Trust Flow on Instagram. That's me Wim Hof page that I'll be bringing out, that I've brought out. You can book in there as well if you're looking for an out session. What else? Yeah, you can find me on so SoundCloud and Spotify. It's the DMT podcast, but it's doing me thing. So that's something I've always said. That's where the name came from, basically. What are you up there? I'm just doing me thing. There you go. And then lo and behold, the DMT matched up, and I was like, yes, it's meant to be. Science, signals, everything's going everywhere. So yeah, Instagram, Fabio Foster's, Breed Trust Flow, SoundCloud and Spotify, Do Me Thing podcast with Paddy Douglas. That's where you can find me. Oh, the shelters. You can find me down at the shelters. If you're down on the 28th of January, there's a full moon. Wink, wink. We'll be down here breeding. Wink, wink. Call the police.
Social distancing.
Social distancing. Me bollocks.
Anyway, again, share the podcast all over the place. Thanks for listening. Yep.